Today we will thoroughly discuss the enigmatic tale of the Judgment of Solomon, a story that not only showcases the complexities of human nature, but also reveals the legendary wisdom of one of the greatest kings in biblical history, King Solomon. King Solomon, the son of David, is famous not just for his rich and powerful rule, but also for his extraordinary wisdom. Legend has it that God blessed Solomon with unparalleled insight, making his wisdom a legendary tale. And it's in one particular story, found in the book of 1 Kings, that we witness the brilliance of Solomon's wisdom unfold. The story of the Judgment of Solomon not only defines his identity as a wise and just king, but also teaches lessons that resonate across time. 1 Kings chapter 3, verses 16 to 18, NIV. Now 2 prostitutes came to the king and stood before him. One of them said, "Pardon me, my lord, this woman and I live in the same house, and I had a baby while she was there with me. The 3rd day after my child was born, this woman also had a baby. We were alone. There was no one in the house but the 2 of us." These verses set the stage for the Judgment of Solomon. 2 women, identified as prostitutes, come before King Solomon with a dispute concerning their newborn babies. The first woman explains that both of them live in the same house. She describes how she gave birth to a baby while the second woman was present. Notably, the second woman also gave birth just 3 days after the first woman. The key detail is that at the time of the childbirths, they were alone with no one else in the house, creating a unique situation that takes on a central role in the developing story. 1 Kings chapter 3, verses 19 to 21, NIV. During the night, this woman's son died because she lay on him. So she got up in the middle of the night and took my son from my side while I, your servant, was asleep. She put him by her breast and put her dead son by my breast. The next morning, I got up to nurse my son, and he was dead. But when I looked at him closely in the morning light, I saw that it wasn't the son I had born. These verses narrate a tragic turn of events that intensify the dispute between the 2 women. The woman explains that during the night, the second woman's son died because she accidentally lay on him. In response to the death of the second woman's child, she takes advantage of the situation. While the first woman is asleep, the second woman secretly takes her living son and places the dead son in the first woman's bed, essentially swapping the babies. The next morning, when the first woman wakes up to nurse her son, she discovers that the baby is dead. Upon closer examination in the morning light, she realizes that the child is not the one she gave birth to, adding a layer of deceit and sorrow to the already distressing situation. This revelation deepens the complexity of the dispute and sets the stage for King Solomon's intervention. 1 Kings chapter 3, verses 22 to 24, NIV. The other woman said, "No, the living one is my son, the dead one is yours." But the first one insisted, "No, the dead one is yours, the living one is mine." And so they argued before the king. The king said, "This one says, 'My son is alive and your son is dead,' while that one says, 'No, your son is dead and mine is alive.' Then the king said, 'Bring me a sword.' So they brought a sword for the king." These verses describe the continued dispute between the 2 women and King Solomon's response. The second woman strongly denies the accusations, claiming that the living child is hers and that the dead child belongs to the first woman. On the other hand, the first woman insists that the dead child is the second woman's and that the living child is hers. The argument intensifies rapidly before King Solomon. Solomon summarizes the conflicting claims. One woman asserts that the living child belongs to her, while the other claims the opposite. The situation seems impossible to resolve through verbal testimony alone. In response to the deadlock, Solomon calls for a sword. The introduction of the sword at this point in the narrative creates tension and anticipation, foreshadowing a dramatic turn in the story. This prepares the way for Solomon's famous wisdom to stand out in how he suggests solving the argument. 1 Kings chapter 3, verses 25 to 27, NIV. He then gave an order, "Cut the living child in two and give half to one and half to the other." The woman whose son was alive was deeply moved out of love for her son and said to the king, "Please, my lord, give her the living baby. Don't kill him." But the other said, "Neither I nor you shall have him. Cut him in two." Then the king gave his ruling, "Give the living baby to the first woman. Do not kill him. She is his mother." Thus, these verses depict the climax of the judgment of Solomon, where King Solomon, in his wisdom, proposes a solution to the dispute. Solomon, stuck with no clear solution to the conflicting claims, decides on a surprising way to resolve the issue to cut the living child in two and give half to each woman. This decree is a test intended to reveal the true mother's identity based on her reaction to the proposed solution. The true mother immediately pleads with Solomon, demonstrating genuine love and concern for her child. Her maternal instincts override any personal desire for custody, as she begs the king not to harm the baby and to instead give him to the other woman. In contrast, the other woman, who was willing to accept the division of the child, shows a lack of maternal love. She insists on going through with Solomon's proposed solution, revealing her true intentions. Recognizing the genuine love of the first woman, Solomon delivers his wise judgment. He declares that the living child should be given to the woman who pleaded for his life, as she is the true mother. This ruling not only resolves the dispute, but also reveals Solomon's profound insight into human nature and his commitment to justice. 1 Kings chapter 3, verse 28, NIV. When all Israel heard the verdict the king had given, they held the king in awe, because they saw that he had wisdom from God to administer justice. These incidents provide the conclusion to the judgment of Solomon and highlight the response of the people to Solomon's wise ruling. The reaction of the people is significant. Upon hearing Solomon's verdict, they are filled with awe and admiration. The narrative emphasizes that Solomon's wisdom is not merely human, but is recognized as a divine gift from God. The people acknowledge that Solomon has the capacity to administer justice with divine insight, solidifying his reputation as a wise and just king throughout Israel. This event contributes to the establishment of Solomon's legendary wisdom in the biblical narrative. Thus, in the story of Solomon's judgment, we saw a wise king who could distinguish the real mother from a fake one. He suggested a bold solution, cutting a baby in half to reveal the true mother's love. The decision showed that real wisdom comes from understanding people and making fair choices. This story teaches us that true wisdom is a special gift, and it's about seeing through complex situations to do what's right. And that concludes today's episode. We sincerely appreciate your presence. If you enjoyed our content, please consider hitting the like button, sharing it with your friends, and subscribing to our channel. Thank you for your support.